I am not an anarchist. I believe in having some kind of a structured governmental type society. People who are anarchists are in fact not connected to reality. In reality, people will do what is ever most necessary to them at any given moment in time. If people are hungry, they will do whatever it takes to get food. If people's children are hungry, they will do whatever it takes to get their children food. If their children are cold, people will do whatever it takes to get the clothing to make their children warm. Then you wind up with people fighting over what people have always fought over, which is resources. So the only way you can stop people from fighting for resources on a small scale, be it give me the toy, I don't want the toy, or on a large scale like give me the oil, I need your oil, no, we want the oil. The only way you can prevent that is to have a large governing body or a communal toy chest which can be controlled. You have to pool your resources together so that you make sure you can distribute these resources. Otherwise, you wind up with a warlord state. Now, there's all kinds of social scientists who will go off and explain all these different methods of creating, these different structures and why, anarchy works and all this kind of jazz. And I call bullshit on the greater, I've never seen a society in the history of the world that has ever been able to function under anarchy. I don't know of one. And further to that, a space program is really, really difficult to come across when you have anarchy. So, if we're going to evolve as a species, we're going to need some kind of government. Now, once we establish that, we're not going to go into what kind of government we should have, but we're going to establish that we need some kind of government. Now, following that, the government must have money, because in order to fund projects, such as a space program, it will need money. This is why you should pay taxes. It's okay to be taxed. It's not okay to be taxed to death and turned into slaves. That's not cool, but it's okay to pay taxes so that the civilization, so that your society, so that humanity can advance. Unless we have some higher ideals being funded by the whole, no individual will be able to benefit from this. When you think of all the technology that exists in the world today that has come from things like the space program, that has come from things like public education, the amount of technology and the amount of benefit that has come to the average human being is phenomenal. And now, with the advent of the internet and the ability to distribute knowledge freely, this is fantastic. We should be on the verge of world peace, but are we? No, we're not. Why? Because of selfishness and because of all these other problems. Now, you could get very deep into the, sociological impacts and the political impacts of all these different things, but realistically, we have to at least start from a starting point of going, okay, well, we need a government. Okay, there has to be a government of some type, whether it's a left-wing government or a right-wing government. Okay, we're not going to go there, but we will need a government, because the whole concept of not having one, having no way to pool all our resources, having no way to have, a communal toy box, well, no one's going to get anything. A lot of people ask me about the concept of selling out and the concept of, whether or not, you're staying true to your ideals. And you get a lot of criticism as you go along with different concepts and ideas that you come up with in your own life. Now, in order to sell out, first of all, you must have a concept which is your own. Otherwise, you're not selling out, you're jumping on a bandwagon. Okay, but let's suppose for a moment you've come up with a concept. You've decided that you are going to make doilies to save the world. Okay? And as you knit your doilies to save the world, this is your concept, this is what you're going to do. So you begin knitting doilies to save the world, and once you know it, a lot of people get involved and they think your doilies are the best doilies on the planet. And before you know it, they say, hey, we've got a lot of advertisers here who are interested in your doilies. Kraft Foods wants to endorse your doilies. Things like this. Now, people at this stage will go, oh, I don't agree with this, and oh, I don't agree with that. But you got to bear in mind, don't get caught up on the details. What are you doing? This is your concept. Now, if you're doing things for world peace, the intent here is not to make doilies. The intent is to get world peace. And a lot of people are going to be really, really quick with criticism. Those who cannot will criticize. Now, if you're making doilies for world peace, realize you will never have world peace, sell your doilies, take the money and run, this is, in fact, selling out. However, if you were to take your doilies, do a contract for Kraft Foods, take the money, and then dedicate that money to, say, world peace, I don't think that'd be selling out. Selling out is never really as simple as signing your name on a dotted line or doing something with the devil. This is not selling out. Selling out is a concept. It's a resignation of mind, not an action in the physical world. Selling out, you know, people say, oh, I didn't sell out, I bought in. Well, you know, part of what we're doing here is we're trying to change our reality. We're trying to change how people think. We're trying to change how people act. We're trying to change how people interact and how they spend their money, how they enforce their shopping dollars. That's what we're trying to change. So there's nothing shameful about money. Money is merely a means to an end. It gives you power. Every dollar you spend is, in essence, an expenditure of power. So as you accept money, it's giving you power. Now, it all depends on what you do with the money. That's what matters. If a person were to go, say, I mean, I've done a lot of different projects. I've done a lot of different things. Now, if I made a whole bunch of money, people stop there. They go, oh, he made a bunch of money. What did he do with the money? What did Jacques Cousteau do with the money? What have all these other people who've been, what does Noam Chomsky do with the money? What does all these different people do with the money they get? That's when you determine how someone's a sellout, not how they got the money. It's what do they do with the money that they have? What is their intent? Intention is key, especially with the concepts of selling out or staying true to a cause. So the first thing you got to know is you got to have a cause you're staying true to, and it's got to be your own. Otherwise, you know, there's no selling out. Otherwise, you're just following along with someone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with lending your support to a movement. That's what RANT Media does. That's what all of us do. But you've got to make certain that if something changes within that movement, you're not just going to go along with it as well. You've got to be able to step back and go, well, I don't know. Everything's an individual decision. But you got to look at intent. That's the major goal.